more of a somber tone here because we're at the end of the live streams today with Keep Indiana Learning. Our friends in Indiana, Lena has been with us today. Carrie has been with us today to introduce these great presenters and speakers on all things Canvas resource related. But I'm a little sad because I've enjoyed our time today. I don't want it to end, but it's been fantastic with tons of great resources for you. And Seth and Casey have a session lined up to really kind of send us out, the grand finale, as they would say. And I'm super excited to see what they put together for us.
Hey, this is been fantastic. Sorry, I'm getting a bit of an echo.
No, you're fine.
All right, great. Thanks. Sorry. I just wanted to call out how wonderful it is with Keep Indiana Learning making these connections between schools across Indiana. Seth is joining us from Northwest Allen County Schools, and he's the Assistant Director of Technology there, so really utilizing Canvas at that administrative level. And he has roped in a principal up there with him, and they're sharing what's going well for them with Canvas and really looking at how this bigger impact can really transition us into the next phase of teaching and learning for professional development across Indiana and beyond.
Now, Seth, I'll switch it over so you guys can share kind of the demo that you're going to show today, which is fantastic. Guys, if you're watching us on any one of our social media channels, make sure you like, share, subscribe, post all over the place so your great educators and administrators and teachers, students, parents, everyone can get a chance to see some of the goodness that Seth and Casey are about to bestow upon us. I'm so excited. So you guys take it away.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, Lena. One of the cool things about this platform and really today's opportunity and Keep Indiana Learning in general is the opportunity to share, how this tool is being used in a whole bunch of different ways, in a virtual setting, not just, in the face-to-face classroom setting, but in, the remote environment, in the virtual environment, in the hybrid environment. And as we think about Canvas, a lot of times, and we actually saw it today, a lot of times the teacher is the focus of the designer. Canvas is a learning management system. It's a classroom tool. It's often seen as a classroom focused instrument. And, one of the things that we really want to emphasize, at least we're going to talk about today, is that it's more than a classroom tool. It's a tool that allows school leaders, principals, district leaders to leverage that platform for a variety of purposes outside of just instruction. And so as leaders, we can utilize the features of a tool like Canvas to promote a variety of building specific items. Whether it's serving as a space for communicating our essential information with our staff, which we saw earlier today in the session on, it's more than a staff meeting, or digitizing professional learning potentially, as a place for, housing micro-credentialing courses or housing professional development courses. Canvas has a ton of opportunity for principals and building leaders to, again, utilize it as an instructional tool for their stakeholders in the same way that classroom teachers use it for their students. And so, when we talk about today, when we talk about core values in our district, Casey, the principal here in our discussion, is looking at Canvas as a tool for building culture in his building, and really as a tool for communicating that culture with students, with teachers, with families, and really with every stakeholder in the school, making it a tool that's essential for classroom management, that's essential for classroom communication, but also is a really great opportunity to address his specific audience as opposed to what a teacher sees with their specific audience. So as you can kind of see here, and what we're going to talk about a little bit today is how can you use this tool as an opportunity to communicate those values with your staff, to communicate those values with your families, communicate those values with your students as a building leader, And how can you kind of go, that extra step to really reinforce the ideas that you want to drive home throughout the school year? Casey?
Yeah, thanks. So I'll start by saying a couple of years ago, we were just kind of doing an audit and trying to figure out where the opportunities lie in the building. And we noticed that we do have a need for some common procedures. And we kind of have a way of generally doing things pretty consistently, but we never really had anything laid out. So we got together and spoke as a leadership team and talked about, just what are our common procedures, what are our common values in the building. So we took those notes down and came up with a formula of this is how a student should be safe and responsible and respectful in a variety of environments, whether it's in the cafeteria or out at the bus lot or in the restroom or wherever. Do we need specific procedures in the restroom? Absolutely, we do. So we talked about what those are and laid those out. And so we've got a document that says, here's where they are for each area of the building. And we use the language safe, responsible, respectful, because it aligns with PBIS, but any kind of language that is common would be good. But we felt this would be super helpful for our building because, then every teacher could take ownership of the building as a whole, instead of thinking, I've got 25 kids in my class. No. This year I've got 617 kids, because that's the number of kids that are in the building. So if we see a student who needs a reminder, we're using the exact same language that is being used in the classroom, whether we know the student or not. So that's kind of where we were coming from. And then we kind of thought about, where do we want to stick these? Where do we want to communicate these? And we found that Canvas would be really important because every student is in Canvas, every teacher is in Canvas, and our goal is that we've got parents as observers in Canvas as well. So they're already there in that virtual environment. So we'll just house these documents in that spot so it's easy for everybody to see. What we found was that teachers were redirecting students to Canvas when they needed a little extra guidance with particular procedures. So if kids are, constantly running down the hallway, they will take this student and that student and say, all right, during this enrichment time, you're going to be watching this video that talks about hallway procedures, because that seems like what you need right now. So moving, kind of directing students toward those resources has been really cool to see. We've also noticed that when students come in the middle of the school year, it's hard to kind of get them up to speed on some of the procedures that teachers hit home really hard in the first couple weeks of school. Students new to our building are they miss out on those kinds of things. This is another opportunity for students to kind of feel like, they're part of something, they're part of this building, even though they're brand new, and they know what the procedures are, they know what the expectations are, through this platform. So that's been really good as well. We've also had teachers give kids some homework. All right, you need to watch this particular set of procedures with your family at home, and then you're going to write a few sentences that indicates, what you learned from this document. So that helps parents understand what our procedures are, helps parents understand that maybe a student needs a little bit of work in this, that, or the other. So it's been really cool to see how teachers have been using this throughout the year in just a variety of ways. But we want to get these in the hands of students and teachers, maybe teachers who are new to the building, give them an easy way of acclimating to what our procedures and expectations are as a whole, but also to get them in the hands of parents at home, to families at home, so they have an idea of not only what our expectations are, but so that parents kind of feel an involvement with school. They can develop that common language and use that language with their own kids at home to make sure that there's some consistency with the language from school to home. So we're really building a community. We're building a partnership with families between teachers and administrators and parents. So it's been really cool to see that play out and to see teachers use those in a variety of ways.
Yeah, what I love about this idea is that, when we look at as technology, or even our curriculum coordinators, or even, when you go to a teacher's Canvas course, we see links back to the Wildcat Procedures course. Every kid has it on their dashboard when they're in Canvas, but it's also linked and embedded directly in the course as well. So, I can make it a seamless link as a navigation item, theoretically, or as a button on my course saying, how about you go back to this? And one of the things that, that you're doing differently here than what we see a lot of the other principals in our district doing, and really, Canvas being used by administrators in a lot of ways, is you're truly modeling the handbook. One thing that we see is a link to the handbook. That's one thing to tell new families or kids who have violated a certain component of the handbook. It's one thing to say, you need to turn to page 32 and read this sentence. It's one thing to say it, right? And it's another thing to show it. And so, what I like is the idea that you've got these procedures here, you've got them on video, you've got them linked, you've got them embedded in the culture of the conversation that teachers are having with kids at the beginning of the year and then reinforcing throughout the year. And it's more than just saying, you broke this rule. It's a nice way to redirect and say, maybe this is something that we could try to model a little bit better and take a look at this. You talked about the idea of parents watching these videos with kids at home and being able to write a few things about what they learned. That brought me right back to Bart Simpson, writing his whatever was on the chalkboard and writing it 100 times and expecting him to learn something, from that. The visual learner isn't going to necessarily take something away from that. And so I love that this is a great conversation topic, and certainly it's a great newsletter topic. You can point this out in newsletters and say, this is something that we're working on this week, or this is something that we've been working on over the last couple of days with the fourth graders in the cafeteria. It's something that they're struggling with. And so I love that you're able to use this platform to communicate those values with families and with students, and as a collective staff, to share and to reinforce, what we want as a building culture.
That's great. Yeah. As a side note, when I was, if you click on any of those buttons, it shows the list of procedures, but it also shows a video that models those procedures, like Seth was talking about. And what I found interesting was the students or the classrooms or the grade level that needed the most work in an area. That's the one I went to when creating the video. And I said, look, you got, even a white lie maybe, you guys do a great job at modeling voice levels. I want you to be the face of this procedure so that when we show it, I'm going to create a video, the whole school is going to be able to see it, and they're going to see you demonstrating that. So in creating the video, I was very thorough on what are our procedures, what do I want to see, and you show me. And by the end of it, they had it, and it was great. And so then I could say, even though they were the ones who had the most trouble with it, I could say, look, you guys are our models. You're the one who showed everybody else in the building how we do things. So that was pretty cool. But I think it's really important for administrators to model what they would like to see from their staff, from their teachers, just like we want teachers to model what they want to see from their kids. It's important that administrators model what they want to see from their teachers. So if we want teachers using Canvas in a variety of contexts, we have to be willing to jump out there and do the same. So try to figure out how we can make it work in a variety of contexts.
Yeah, the idea that the video here is part of the instructional moment. It's not just posting words on the page. It's not just posting a picture. There's a video that's also explaining this, demonstrating it. Again, you've got multiple components of what an effective instructional moment looks like in the classroom embedded in here. And again, this is one way to do it, right? Others could do it in different ways. You could post these like you have as pages. You could post them as assignments as well. If you wanted to assign it to a specific student, as that enrichment activity or as something that might be counter to a lunch detention or something like that, you could give this video to a kid and provide an assignment here that then the teachers, right? Your teachers have access to this course as well. And I think your teachers are all teachers in this course too. They're not just students or non-editing viewers, they have access, so they can grab this content and put it in their own pages and do the same thing, so they can use it and embed it, link to it, import it, whatever the case might be, into their own courses to use it as a tool and not just as, go here, watch this, do this, follow these instructions, do these things. So I think that's a cool application. And for the most part, from this course, when I look at this course as sort of, I'm going to say, an outsider looking in on your building, most of what you've got here are the procedures, right? These are the expectations, but that's not, what we're seeing here right now is sort of the limitation, but you do post other things. Like, you do change the front page occasionally to highlight the special events, or to focus on, school things, or to share videos, or to communicate the positive things too, and not just to focus specifically on, here's a visual virtual example of our handbook. And so, as we're thinking about, as we're talking about communicating the core values of your school, building culture with your kids, building culture with your families, reinforcing that through the classroom, and on and on and on, you are communicating the positive, in this. You are reinforcing those expectations. You are enhancing the teacher support, right? So if you're having conversations with kids when you call them into your office, or when, the teacher sends them down to talk with you, it's a nice way to say, look, we're all on the same page. So what Mrs. Halter said, to you just a moment ago, she wasn't lying. This is who we are as a building. This is how we do things, and this is what we expect. So I love that you've got that consistent language throughout this, and it goes right. So kindergartners might be new to it, but by their third or fourth year, fifth graders can reference back to those kindergartners they see in the hall as well, and say, hey, remember our procedures, or remember our voice levels. And I think that's a cool way to really engage the stakeholders in building this understanding of what the values, Huntertown Elementary School really represents.
Yeah, that's great. And we kind of used a know your audience approach when creating the course. Notice that there's, as far as those buttons go, there's not a lot of text on there on the page to allow, our kindergartners in the building. We're a K-5 building, to make sure that our kindergartners know what they're doing and how to do things and how to navigate. But also, so anybody else in the building has that opportunity as well. So, that know your audience approach, I think, is important. One thing that I need to make sure that I keep in mind is that if I want students to continually come back to this course, I have to keep it fresh. And I think, in any online environment or online course, I think that's important to recognize. So what I need to do is, next year, I need to update my videos. I need to update my links, maybe change the buttons around a little bit. I see teachers doing that as well to keep things fresh for their own students. I need to model that myself as well, keep things updated and that sort of thing. As far as, like Seth said, when students log in, they see this course on their dashboard, and every student in the building is enrolled in the course, and we try to keep up with that as well when we have new students enrolling in the building. And every teacher has access to the course as well. And we found that approach has been helpful as well. But this is a public course, so that parents can access this course if they need to, from the district website or something like that. We try to push the observer accounts, but want to make it accessible for parents, and in any way that we can, try to make it easy on them as well.
Cool. In terms of, as you're looking at this, right, from a building principal standpoint, obviously, you built the course, and as the assistant director of technology, we have great familiarity with Canvas. Is this something, when you're looking at this, and sorry to make this into an interview, when you're looking at this, is this something though that is accessible for all school leaders to be able to create? Right. I think that's a great question. Is can everybody do this? If I'm a non-techie principal, can I build a course like this? I see you shaking your head. Yeah, right. Absolutely, you can. And if you can't, there's surely someone in your building who can. right? So I can be the course designer. I can use this and say, here's what my vision is for the course, even if I have to tap on the shoulder of a teacher down the hall, or one of my great teachers, one of my techie teachers, and say, hey, can you help me build this? Can you help me design these buttons? Can you help me do these things? You mentioned it earlier on, right? The idea that you're modeling the use of the tool to communicate the expectations, or communicate whatever it might be that you want to share with your viewers, your students, the families, whatever it might be. And so I think that's something that we can't get lost in, is this is not something that's out of reach for most building leaders to be able to create. And even if they're not the designer, they know someone who is a designer, or who could do it, who could record the videos, who could edit the videos, who could, design the buttons, or who could do the things that make this an opportunity for kids, and an opportunity for your building.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's good leadership too, leaning on the strengths of the people in your building. If a teacher, I want teachers to come to me with questions. I want them to come to me and say, hey, I'm assessing the science unit, and what's the best way to gauge? And I'm going to say, we're going to build a rubric, because that's my thing. Let's do it. Let's build a rubric. And so we'll do that together. But then if I want teachers to come to me and say, what can we do? Then I need to be able to go to teachers and say, hey, I see you've built a really great Canvas course. Can you help me do some of the things that you're doing as well? And really capitalize on the strengths of the people in our buildings.
Yeah, it's cool. Highlighting their successes, giving them shared ownership of the platform, of the space. Even if the ideas aren't theirs, at least some of the creation components are theirs. And it makes it more than what we typically see inside the classroom, right? And I think that's where there's a lot of value in a platform like this. Is we have a space where the building leader is engaging in the use of the LMS, right? It's not just a place to post files. It's not just a place to have other people submit files, right? This is a true tool for everybody. And while this is just one sort of narrow example of how you're using Canvas, or how a principal could use Canvas to really engage with students and families and get the whole building on the same page, right? There's a ton of other applications for Canvas as a platform for school leaders, as a platform for educational leaders. And this is just a small space of it. So whether we're using Canvas in this scenario to really emphasize the culture of the ideas that we want to outline, maybe in our handbook, or that we reinforce on a daily basis, in our classroom or during our announcements, right? Canvas is also a really cool platform for engaging in that instructional leadership, trying to have that influence on the effectiveness of classroom instruction, and really turning the emphasis back on learning, and not just being, right, the guy in the office who writes the detention slips and calls parents, when something goes wrong. So, I think that this is a cool opportunity. I love Canvas as an opportunity to do more than just be a platform for teachers. And I think that as instructors, right, we're all instructors. We've got the opportunity to be able to use it in those ways to really engage our audience, whoever that might be.
Yeah, I love that. And Casey and Seth, both of you should be commended, right? Because as district leaders and people that are driving change in their district, you guys are doing it the right way. And we love to see the success that you're having with Canvas and the excitement that you bring. I know Lena is very excited that you're on the team here with Keep Indiana Learning and saying all the great things that are happening. But as someone that is speaking essentially for Canvas LMS on this Instructure channel, I can't be more thrilled to hear some of the great successes and stories that you were able to share today. So thank you guys.
Yeah, it's been cool. This has been a neat opportunity for Keep Indiana Learning, and really just for teachers across the state to be able to be on the platform. It's been neat.
It's been fantastic. Lena, any closing words from Keep Indiana Learning before we shut her down?
Yeah, big time thank you. Eddie, thanks for inviting us to come in and share some time with you. And we love Canvas. We love using Canvas. We're a longtime Canvas fan here, personally and professionally. Also, keepindianalearning.org has a ton of other professional resources as well. We've got awesome teachers like Seth, who's created content, who's putting on live events through that. We have an upcoming all virtual summer conference at the end of June. We want to invite anybody to pop over to keepindianalearning.org. It's only $25 to register for 2 days, and you don't have to live in Indiana to learn with us in Indiana. So we're excited to be everywhere that the virtual internet can take us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Everyone, have a great day. Thank you for joining us. This has been one of those really fun days that we were able to showcase Keep Indiana Learning and doing another digital learning showcase, which will be coming soon. We have another live session tomorrow, which will be with our training team to talk about special education and some accommodations. So if that's something you're interested in, please join us tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern time. So excited for that session as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, have a fantastic day.